Today is the last day of Hanukkah. And this day actually has its own name. It's called Zot Chanukah, and the Hasidim say it's actually one of the holiest days of the whole year. And I think I really felt that last night, because last night we lit our candles, like our last candles. So I lit in the living room with all of my kids, and it was really amazing because. I lit and my kids lit, and there was just, and we turned off the lights in the living room, and we just sat on the sofas watching the burning candles, and like there were so many candles burning, maybe 50, I don't know, more, and it was so bright. And my husband came into the living room, and he said it was actually, he had to like open a window because he said it was getting hot from all the candles. It was just so bright and bringing so much warmth into the home, and I just felt like for the first time, I just felt like this amazing feeling. I felt like I understood the holiness of Zot Chanukah, the holiness, the special holiness of this last day of Hanukkah, because I just felt for the first time that that light is winning over darkness. Like there's more light than darkness, and we're winning. We're winning. Like the good, the light, Torah, everything good is winning. We're overwhelming and winning against the darkness. And then I guess, of course, like all of us. At one point, I turned on my computer and I heard about the terrible news and the terrible darkness coming out of Connecticut. And I think probably like many of us, it was hard for me to sleep last night. I woke up in the middle of the night, like 3 in the morning, and I couldn't get back to sleep. I was just thinking about all these poor families and thinking about all these little children. And I have a daughter around the age of around the same age as the children who were killed. And it's just, as a mother, I guess just as like a human being with a heart, it's just heartbreaking. It's just to see that a human being could do something so inhuman, just something so terrible, and all these families, and just thinking about all these children is just so awful. And I think that probably like many people, my thought was, I'm just thinking like, well, where is God? Is there really a God? Like, how could this possibly happen? How could something so terrible happen? Like these innocent little children, like how could this happen? If there is a God, like how could he let this happen? So, I don't really know. I don't really have any answers. Probably there are people in the world who do, like very wise people. I'm not one of them. But I want to tell you like what's providing me some comfort today. The day after finding out what happened at the school, about the massacre on the school in Connecticut. So I want to share just a story with you. So before Hanukkah, several times I heard a story about a great rabbi who lived around 2,000 years ago. His name was Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa. And before Hanukkah or during Hanukkah, people are talking about him a lot because he's a person who really he's like the physical embodiment, like the human embodiment of Hanukkah. He's a person who really lived above the physical world. He's a person who, like we would see, like I walk down the street and I see a tree in a building and people, and I see a newspaper with sad news, and I see the physical world. And this is a person who lived totally above the physical world. He like lived in the spiritual realm. He saw, like I see the world through physical eyes, human eyes, and he saw the world in the way through like divine eyes. He saw God's reality. He saw the world in terms of God's reality. So there's a famous story about him, that one of the many miracle stories about him, that his daughter, once before Shabbat, by accident, instead of putting oil into her candles to light oil for her Shabbat candles, by accident she put vinegar into her candles. So she went to her father and she was a bit embarrassed, and she said, Abba, I'm so sorry, but instead of putting oil into the candles, I put vinegar into the candles. What should I do now? So the father was totally unflustered, Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, and he said, my dear daughter, don't worry at all. The one God is the one who makes oil light, and God can also make vinegar light. Vinegar set on fire, and that was what he did. The daughter was able to light the candles, and the candles set on fire, even though they contained vinegar and not oil. So this story just represents like how this man, how he just like lived in a miraculous realm, like above the natural laws of the world, above the physical world that we see. He lived just in a world of miracles. He saw the world through God's eyes, let's say. So about a week ago, something sort of funny happened. So up in preparation for Hanukkah, as I said, I've been hearing all these stories about Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa from all these different directions, and so I was walking. So we were spending Shabbat, the Shabbat before Hanukkah, in a different neighborhood, and I was taking a little walk around, and I look and I see a street sign, and what does the street sign say? It's Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa Street. And I was like, wow, that's so funny. Hanukkah's starting in a few hours, and here I am. I'm on like Mr. Miracle Street. I'm on Hanina ben Dosa Street. So I walked down. I thought, this is really interesting. I want to see like what's on Hanina ben, like who lives here? What's happening on Hanina ben Dosa Street? So I walked down a little bit, and the first thing I see is a construction site. It says, I think, that they're building like a few houses. It looks like they were going to be building a few houses there. But then when I looked, I saw like that the sign in front of the construction site, it was rusted, and like the letters were sort of rubbed off from like rain and the elements, and it was sort of falling over. And it looked like this construction site was not going anywhere. Just like this broken down sign, and that was like the last like souvenir from this building project. Like it wasn't going to happen. Okay, so first of all, I see that really the world's most depressing and hopeless construction site. I walk a little bit further, and I see like 3 trucks, but they're like broken trucks. They're trucks that basically Hanina ben Dosa Street was being used as a junkyard for these broken trucks that were never ever going to be fixed. So I looked. I thought, well, maybe there's a house. Like what? But basically, it was just like this dead end. It's sort of like a dead end alleyway. It was just the most depressing street in the whole world, let's say. This is like the most hopeless, broken down, depressing street in the world was Hanina ben Dosa Street. And you're gonna laugh at me, but much tears came to my eyes on Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa Street, because I just felt like that's the world. Like that's the world. That's the world. Like you look around and just things seem so broken. Like you see the broken down construction site, you see the broken down trucks, you see the broken world, and you see like how broken things are, that a man could just walk into a school and kill innocent children and just destroy lives and kill teachers and children and these families, and it just seems things are just so broken. Things are just so broken. But yet this is Hanina ben Dosa Street. Like the reality is not this. God's here. God's here. Like we just see, this is how we see the world. Like I come to Hanina ben Dosa Street and I see the broken down this and the broken down that, and it's depressing and it's hopeless. It's just darkness. It's just, that nothing good is ever going to come out of this place. But yet, like it's a reminder, like that's Hanina ben Dosa Street. Like it's a place like that there are miracles, and God exists, and God's running the world. I think probably many people notice this, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. And maybe it's just coincidence, maybe I'm being silly, but in Connecticut I noticed like how many people were killed. 26 people. And for anyone who knows, anyone who's familiar with gematria, with like the numerical value of the numerical value of letters, knows that the 26 is the numerical value of God's name, 26. And I just felt, I just feel like Hashem's just saying, God's just saying, it's dark, and it's hopeless, and you just feel like, where is God? Maybe God doesn't exist, and God's saying, I'm here. You don't think I'm here, and you don't see me, but I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Behind the darkness, I'm here. So I want to bless all of us Jewish moms, that from now on, that this story, that the darkness, the terrible darkness of this story should inspire us to bring more light into the world through taking care of our families. And I think that, all of us, I think, are going to hug our kids a bit tighter today, really loving them and treasuring them and understanding like how much we have to appreciate that we have our children with us, that we have the ability to be parents, that our kids are healthy, that our kids are with us, that we can be mothers to our children. And I want to bless all of us, that all of us from now on, that we should really only share good news. Kol Tov.